Hi everybody, this is House Church video for Up Week, and we have just taken a look at Colossians 3, the first half of the chapter. And we were talking in the sermon about growing up and what that's like. And so we talked about growing up physically, and then as well we talked about growing up spiritually and kind of looked at the differences between the two. And we also talked about how we lose something, about the excitement of growing up as we get older. And so the term, I can't wait to grow up, is kind of what we say when we're little. And then, oh, would you please grow up, is kind of what we say when we're adults. And one of them is exhilarating and exciting and just full of possibilities. And the other one kind of harbors some disappointment and some loss and a little bit of mourning and maybe some losing some things. And so we talked about the difference between that. And when we talk about our spiritual life, when we talk about growing up in God, there isn't an ending. There isn't getting old. There isn't loss. There's just beginnings. And so we can kind of relate the excitement that it was when we were little and we were thinking about growing up to this, not the adult idea of like, oh, just please grow up, but more, I can't wait to grow up. When I grow up, I'm going to be, and the possibilities are endless. And so my question mark came in, what do I have to do in order to grow up? Because I'm pretty sure that there's something that we need to actually do. And so that was my first question when I was looking at Colossians. And my light bulb kind of came directly out of that question mark, which is kind of, in a way, not a lot. And that's where relief comes in. What we need to do in order to grow physically is we need to make sure that we're eating food, we're breathing air, we're drinking water. We don't really have to try to go from being a 4-year-old to being an 18-year-old. And it's kind of the same thing, what Paul says in Colossians, is that our life is with Christ in heaven. And so we need to be in environments like our air, like water, and like food, that allow us to mature and to grow up in Him. And so my light bulb was, I really don't have a big long task list to do. I have a environment that I need to make sure that I'm in. I have a mindset that I need to surround myself with so that I am focusing and I am thinking about things of heaven. I'm thinking about the fact that Jesus is the supreme ruler and that there's hope no matter what happens because He wins in the end. He's in charge of everything. And that's the mindset that I need to have in order to be in the environment for me to grow up spiritually. So my light bulb and my arrow are really connected this week for me, in that moving forward, putting an environment in place for me, for my family, for those around me, so that we can be focusing on the things of God. We can be focusing on the supremacy of who Jesus is, that Paul talks about way back in Colossians chapter 1. Is the thing moving forward that I need to do, but it's not something that I do with being sad or with mourning. It's something I do with exuberance. On Sunday morning, I use the example of potty training a 4-year-old and how once they get that idea that they have taken off the old diaper and they have put on the new big kid pants, how exciting that is for them. And you don't see toddlers running around with their heads down going, I guess I have to take off my diaper and be a big kid. You just see it with a lot of exuberance. There's lots of jumping up and down. There's lots of squeals. There's lots of come and look what I did. And that's the environment that we need to be creating to remind ourselves of where Jesus is. We need to put off the old, put on the new, and just grow in that environment that we were created to grow in. So have a great discussion in House Church talking about this stuff and some other stuff that came up for you, what your question mark, light bulb, and arrow were during the sermon. And then also spend some time praying for people in your lives that don't know Christ yet and how you can foster the environment that brings them in and invites them in to know Him and to grow in their own faith. Have a great discussion and have a great House Church. See you next week.